Hi, welcome to TheDoorTalks, where today we're going to talk about Shin Ultraman.
防災テレビ連絡怪獣らしき不明物体を移動脱進行中
家督隊専従班班長の田村です。
怪獣はなぜかこの国にしか出現しないんだ。
宅配季節まであともう一つしかない。
君の来訪の目的は何だ。
大気圏外より被害中の気象台やる。
何が起こった？状況は？気象台が付近に墜落した模様。
いえ、到着です。対象物が動いています。
Yeah. Now going in, so you've missed us. We've been running them. Just to start off, Mark, because I know you like Ultraman. Like you know him quite well. You know
I don't know him quite well at all. Really.
No, but I've basically watched the original
episode
live action one.
That we
I've watched the reasonably recent Netflix first episode with the sexy robot with
I've
the
watched
hips.
a few of those, yeah.
And then that's and I've been to like the Ultraman store in Japan or whatever, in Kobe. Or
Yeah,
there's
seen
Ultraman
things like
shops,
that.
and I've sort of looked at the figures, but that's it.
I'm not gonna lie. Aside from the slight knowledge of the figures, I'm not really much further along than you. But I did really like. I was very pumped about this for some reason. I don't know why.
Shin Ultraman, if we mentioned
Shin
it.
Ultraman, yeah. That's what. No, you did watch it. You said that stuff.
Yeah,
Maybe you said Shin Godzilla.
I might have said Shin Godzilla.
Yeah, because I say that quite a lot as well.
Yeah.
But I think because of obviously the director and how much I loved Shin Godzilla, I was really buzzing for this.
Different director though.
Is it different? Okay,
I know
the
you
same
wrote
writer.
it.
Yeah.
I did check that because it did seem.
So is it the same director as the Godzilla director?
I feel like
It was very similar shot.
directed Shin Godzilla.
Okay. That's interesting.
But look, I think a lot of the same people worked on it.
Yeah.
Because I had a quick look through IMDb, but it seems to be. It's a fucking weird film.
It's a really weird film. Can I also just preface this by saying, if you want to find out any more about this, or any more about the monsters and stuff like that, and the kaiju that are involved in this, do watch Monstrosities. They've got a really good YouTube channel. It's up here. And basically, they just go in on like all the different kaiju and all the different, and basically the sort of history of why it's like how it is. Because the film is very bizarre in some ways, but obviously it kind of explains that in a bit of a nice way. Sort of talks about the changes that he did from analog and like why it all makes sense in the story because of the production and CGI and stuff like that. There was quite a lot of cool things there. So I'll try and go through them and say as many as I've learned. But obviously watch that because that's a really good in-depth look.
Yeah, I've not heard of
They've
those
done
before.
Monstrosities. It's a really cool channel. So
Before we'll talk about our pros and cons of it, let's just give a vague outline of the plot.
Okay.
I saw this in like 3 sections because then we
I
only
think it's
quickly
3 seconds. I was
3
like,
seconds,
fast
yeah.
forward through the whole thing.
We only decided to we planned to do this fucking about 6 months ago, but we've only recently decided to do it today, so I quickly had to watch.
Get hold of.
Yeah.
I will say that.
Because we definitely bought the Blu-rays
Yeah,
or whatever.
100%. I don't think it's out yet, but yeah, we bought that.
So starts off similar to the other Ultraman. Ultraman kills an innocent person with rocks.
It starts off very similar to Ultra Q, which is the TV series that went on beforehand.
Yeah.
Which is before Ultraman was even a thing. And obviously it introduced quite a lot of the monsters, which was sort of like in the same, which was all part of the episode.
Yeah,
building
so
up to it, which I thought was really cool. That start to me was amazingly fun.
Yeah. Well, I say we'll go through the pros and
Okay,
cons.
sorry.
Because
We'll go through the whole thing
I'm
and
more
then
just
we'll go
trying to
through
quickly remember like the vague
Okay,
plot.
okay.
So kaiju are attacking. Eventually, Ultraman turns up, kills that guy, and then it takes his body.
Yeah.
And then you've got the team, the Science Patrol people, or the SSSP
Yeah.
or whatever it's called. They're in charge of looking after kaiju and sort
Basically
of contacting
sorting it out,
Ultraman. Then that guy who's got like a trench coat, dressed like Donatello or whatever, or probably not Donatello, he appears. He is called, I can't remember his fucking name. There's him.
Zarab.
I really like his design, but anyway, he appears. He kind of wants to make some sort of deal. I've really recently watched this. He's kind of making deals with the world. He's super powerful thing.
Well, he's kind of,
obviously goes a bit wrong. Then he fights Ultraman. Ultraman cuts him in 2 and kills him. I don't know.
I kind of think kills him.
Then some sort of friendly sort of alien, but looks like a human, turns up. He makes some deals.
Yeah.
Then goes evil or decides to destroy everybody.
No, he kind of doesn't go evil. Kind of just sort of like wants to make money for himself. I don't think it's necessarily evil.
No, but he just doesn't see humanity as particularly important. So then he
basically he basically decides to leave and decides to get.
He just leaves. He just leaves. Yeah,
because he sees basically space police.
Yeah, and then the other Ultraman guy who's floating around, who looks like Ultraman, he turns up.
Yeah.
And goes, oh, actually, fuck humans, or they're not worth it, or there's
Well,
loads of other species.
They're gonna
blow themselves up.
Yeah.
They've
got too much.
So then he had like a doomsday device.
Zeton.
And then Ultraman flies into it, or Iron Man's into it, or whatever, or Iron Giant's it, blows it up. Gono gets sucked into the machine, and
Yeah.
there's a bit where he's like a little fly because he kind of
Yeah,
he moves
there's a
like
lot of that weirdness going on. But
and
yeah.
then he gets put back on Earth, and then it's like he wakes up, and then it ends.
Yeah.
That's the. Have I misunderstood anything of the plot?
I think there's a conversation with what's his name? I can't remember what his name is. The other Gold Ultraman in the middle.
In like the microverse or from Ant-Man or whatever.
Kind
it's
of
like
explaining the point and sort of saying, and that's why the Earth isn't destroyed in the end.
Yeah, he gives up his elf immortality to go live with the
Yes.
humans or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, instead
Is
of
that-
going back
yeah.
to going back to Light Planet or whatever.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
But that's the basic plot of it.
Yeah. Okay, that is the basic plot.
Yeah.
Okay, so what parts? Overall, the whole thing seemed a bit too. In my mind, it went kind of down that same sort of route that quite a lot of Evangelion kind of goes, where it goes a little bit too existential,
Yes.
a little bit too. We need to talk about, you know what I mean? Like humans mean more than this, or whatever. You know, it always gets
like
a bit
just
too
humanity.
much.
I was really rooting for this because I like Shin Godzilla and I like all the fax machines and the meetings and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
I
I
really
really
love
like that. And in this, I thought, if this is just going to be the same thing, which it kind of starts off quite similar.
And it kind of does later as well, but it does it in less of like how are we going to target this, more of like how are we going to deal with all the different prime ministers and different countries wanting
like
this sort
buying
of thing.
stuff off the US and buying the bombs and then sending the bill to someone else and doing this. But and to be honest, there was loads of stuff I liked. I love the whole intro bit with all the kaiju
That was
turning
so
up. That was
sick.
so.
As I
Does it
said
even
to
say
you,
Shin Godzilla at the start or something, and then it kind of changes?
It says Shin Godzilla, but I don't know if that's the. I was kind of relying on you to sort of tell me this. Actually, I don't know if it said Shin Godzilla or maybe it just said Ultra Q, and then but the people who did the translations, because there was a lot of that I was wondering
I'm
whether
pretty
it
sure
was
it did
translations. It did say Shin Godzilla.
Because the Shin thing means there's no connection between any of these things.
There's
It's
no
just a
connection
word.
aside from the same sort of production.
Sort of, yeah.
company.
Yeah, it didn't seem like it was a shared universe. Because even one of the early kaiju looked a lot like. Because I was like, wait, is that Shin Godzilla?
No. So basically, yeah, the first one, Gomez. I think it's spelt Gomez, so I'm going to call it Gomez. It's not though. Basically, he was a Godzilla creature originally who was repurposed and put little bits on. So on the original Godzilla suit, and then basically, so basically they used the Shin Godzilla and then put little bits on. So that's why it was quite cool.
I thought because I was like, is this connected? But no, loads of it I liked. I liked loads of the camera shots. I liked there was loads of little clever things. There was a lot of cuts, especially early on, which just like bang, bang, bang,
See,
bang,
I
bang, bang,
love
bang,
that
bang, bang, bang.
about Shin Godzilla, and that was something. But I feel like they maybe kicked that into overdrive, and it kind of worked against them a little bit. But I would have loved that first section to be just sort of elongated a little bit more before we actually
it was
have
fun.
Ultraman
Them just
jump
finding
down.
the kaiju. Know how do we deal with this one? What's its powers? Oh, it goes invisible. Oh, it does this.
Yeah,
oh, it's a drill guy.
Obviously, we can't really do too much of that throughout the entire thing because we have one big one when I think it's Negronda, which is the one where basically which is the one that they sort. I think the one that eats all the electricity.
Oh yeah. I know who you mean.
Yeah, so basically they use him. But like they sort of have the explanation about why they can't kill him in that way, or something.
Yeah. They
like
kind of
that.
go through the pros and cons of how to deal with it.
But so like you kind of do see a little bit of the science going on. But yeah, it would have been good to see them succeed with it instead of it just being down to Ultraman in this particular setting.
Yeah,
and it's sort of happening off screen, and then just saying female scientist creates frozen things.
Yeah, right. The button thing that makes you big or small or whatever. The
capsule.
Yeah, right. I understand he presses it, he goes big, whatever.
Yeah.
Suddenly the woman was big.
Yeah, well, basically that's using
part
the same
of his
tech.
body. Is that? I can't say it was so confusing. So that technology is from an alien planet, and all it does is basically make things big.
Yeah.
Is that essentially what it does?
Well, yes, big.
And that's the same.
But also the fact that so basically it's the same sort of stuff that he would use to make himself big. Or any of them use to make themselves big. It's but condensed into a little box.
But the other guy had the other one, the guy, the alien guy who was like, my favourite saying is this. Or But he had
the
one
more normal alien.
Yeah.
I can't remember what his actual name is.
Who had one like in a big,
Not
like quite a big, like a car size thing that you like fly around. When
so basically, I feel like that would be like a big one that humans could use, whereas instead of like a little beta capsule that they can just have each one has to use. So maybe they just stand near there, then they go boop, then they go zzz, and then it makes them big. We didn't see it happen on screen because she just turned up as a big person.
It was just.
See, that I quite liked that. I mean, I feel like there was probably a better weapon to sell to humans instead of
just make
the
big.
fact that you can make them big. So obviously that was the whole point of the film was the fact that like it was like, are we going to be able to sell this technology to everyone? That's why everyone wants this tech. That's why Japan's actually dealing with this character. to get this, so they can so other nations don't get it. So Japan gets the first sort of right of refusal or whatever. But I just kind of feel like there was much better weapons to sort of
But when you're big, you still can be hurt.
Yeah, well, I think
they can still shoot her and she just die. She wasn't like more armored.
I don't think she can die. I think it's the same sort of thing as if you did shoot, it's like shooting Godzilla. It's like he can die, but it takes a long time.
Yeah.
But I suppose it's like it's similar to that. He doesn't have they don't have any powers where they can shoot electricity or control things or give off radiation like any of the other kaiju in the film. No. The ass grabbing was a bit
grabbing her own ass for ages.
She kept grabbing her ass. It's like I'll have to do it with my own bum. But she did it constantly, and she was always talking about baths as well.
I like the old shitty model technology.
I do.
But some of this, I was like, I wish. Sometimes they made it kind of look a bit like a model, and other times, but it looked like, they're just doing not great CG. And I'd rather.
That was very much. I felt like that battle against the man that wasn't Zereb.
The
one that was the one with the normal looking human. Then turned into a big guy. That battle in that industrial area.
It was just like a PS.
Was really, really bad.
Yeah, cutscene. Whereas I'm sure we spoke about before that Hideki Anno thing where it's the 50-foot god monster taking over Tokyo. If you ever seen it, it's a short film and it's one of those god monsters. Basically attacks miniature Tokyo and it looks really cool because you kind of think it's CGI, but it's not. It's all models. And I kind of wish I'd gone more down the physical route. I'd rather stuff looked a bit shittier, but I could see the work going into it. Especially Ultraman's so smooth.
Yes,
he's just he just seems like
they all look very flat at some points.
Yeah,
I do feel like they sort of struggled with time, maybe obviously because this was sort of done and was meant to come out I think just during COVID, but then came out sort of just after. So I think maybe they struggled with sort of getting things done because that not the final fight scene, but the fight scene before the final fight scene did seem incredibly flat
and just quick and just actually fuck it, I'm going to fly away. Bye.
Yeah, that was a bit
sorry to inconvenience everybody.
It's not worth it for me, Ultraman. But no, aside from obviously the bad CGI, I did think that the sound editing was also really I don't know. I feel like with Shin Godzilla, maybe because I didn't notice it as much because I've not seen as much Ultraman as I have Godzilla, I didn't notice that many hooks, musical hooks.
Well, I think in this they must have used some of the music from because it's weird jazz music.
They did it at the start,
clearly from the old.
But then later on, it all became a bit musically dead. There was no music, and also all the sounds that he used were that just was the same explosion.
Yeah,
it was I
didn't really notice the repeated explosion, but
that was really annoying, especially when they were chasing that one that was drilling.
Yeah.
And then when they just kept when the bomber was dropping some stuff. That was a repeated explosion, and honestly, it was just this is just annoying now. I kind of get why you'd want to go, all right, we'll just keep it how it was done originally. We'll use the same sound effects, but then just change it up a little bit, just to make it seem a little bit different. It was just all the exact same pitch, exact same sound.
This is going to put a dampener on things. Okay. But my opinion of Ultraman is this.
Okay.
He's very Superman to me. He's like this alien god who just appears and doesn't massively struggle with anything. Okay. So I really struggle to get connected to him. And then because he went into that man, I can't remember the guy's name. The man he killed, when he went into his body, but even before he got killed, that man was very reading books really quick. Too quick, anyone can read.
Yeah.
And he didn't have that much personality to him.
No.
So it was really hard. I love the little team and I like those guys, but when Ultraman was on, especially when he flies and does that thing you get saved where he's just on a pinwheel.
Yeah, that was all very strange, yeah.
I just struggled to be Ultraman, you're gonna I hope you don't get got. I was like, well you're essentially Superman. I just struggled to connect with him.
One thing that was missing from this particular Ultraman was the lack of basically he's got a timer on his
it didn't ever feel like he was gonna I know one bit he quickly goes normal just before the end,
or just the end, or something like.
Yeah, I don't understand the green thing. Is that?
But it's I think he's absorbed too much radiation. He's getting a bit weak, or he's losing power. But on the original one, I don't know if you remember the little blue thing in his chest lit up and basically flashed when he was running out of power. So you can only use the beta capsule for only 2 minutes. But with this, when he came in, he just sort of donned everyone. It did sort of feel like it was a bit. I don't know. It was a bit one-sided. He was a bit of a Superman.
Well, he's obviously got to win, but it's hard to get invested in someone. And obviously, for loads of people will be watching it, and God, they're using all the old things and the music, and there'll be little Easter eggs. And for people who know about Ultraman,
and I do think the spinning around weird sort of flying like that constantly, that's another one of those Easter eggs.
It would be done on purpose, because they would have just had a little model back in the day just going on a piece of string. But it's one of those things where it doesn't matter what the thing is, it's got to be a story that sort of grips me. Yeah. And it felt like, there's a little thing, there's a little thing. It kind of felt quite disjointed. I almost feel like they could have dragged that first which I really like the design because he was kind of like not crate paper. Do you know the kind of where you in primary school where you'd fold paper and make like an accordion shape? So the alien with like the hat, and he was like hollow, and there was loads of cool little designs. I was like, well, he was come and gone so quick.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I could have stuck with him for the whole film.
No, that's the thing. Like, as soon as he went, it did sort of go off the rails a bit because like I would prefer just like a little battle between those two. I didn't need to see the other three other villains.
It was just repeating. It almost felt like it was repeating the same basic. I'm going to kill all the humans. Sort of actually, no, you're not.
It wasn't as if there was like, a big monster's come about and we need to fight this big monster. It was more just like human kind of talking monsters, which they didn't really kaiju.
They were very good at just negotiating. They were like didn't seem like they had great personalities, but obviously human. Well, everyone on Earth was like, oh, these guys are great. Let's sign everything away. Like just signing that deed to the house. Yeah. But I just struggled to like.
I lost it a little bit after that guy sort of came and then went and got cut in half. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. And then you're going to do something different now, but it wasn't different.
It was like, okay, now let's read. That could have always been 3 different films.
Yeah, no, exactly.
And the whole thing, I don't know. It still didn't really explain. I know he kind of goes into someone's dead body, but it's not the same body.
He kind of merged with the human, so he's not dead yet, and he saw what happened and saw the fact that he's trying to save a kid, and he's gone. Yeah. I'm going to use him as the example.
Where's
to
that
show
kid
other
gone?
People. I don't know. He just got carried away.
Ultraman?
No, you shouldn't see him. He was running around with him afterwards. He just basically when Ultraman went off into the sky.
Sorry,
he lost contact with him. He's like, wait, where were we at?
We were kind of shitting on it a bit, but not too heavily. No, to be honest, this is the kind of thing where a bit like Shin Godzilla, where I kind of didn't want to watch it in a rush. Like, it was a thing where if it was a Sunday and I had like a cup of tea and I didn't have nothing else to do, and I'd sort of take it more in, but because I felt that little bit of like, I need to get this, I need to get to work, I need to do this.
And also, Shin Godzilla's we need to make notes on something. It's a little bit different, so when you're always looking down, you kind of feel a bit stressed because you're like, you don't want to miss anything, man.
Because Shin Godzilla's one of those ones, again, where that's not like a quick, come round, let's have some beers and watch Shin Godzilla, because it's quite a methodical, I say it's quite a realistic kaiju horror, whatever movie.
Yeah, it's not a fun romp like.
No, not at all. But it's interesting.
Godzilla versus Kong or
it's something satisfying, like someone I don't know building a wooden table on fucking Instagram. Doing these videos, I'm just like, oh, I'm enjoying this for some reason.
Yeah,
it's something very methodical about Shin Godzilla, and this just it wasn't as real. I don't so stupid. It wasn't as realistic. It kind of went, oh, let's do this, and people are going to want to see this thing, and. Yeah, maybe it felt like should it have been a series, like a bit more of a prestige series, and instead of just trying to fit basically 3 episodes of Power Rangers essentially into one film.
Like, it feels like 4 or 5 episodes. But yeah, still, I'm quite similar. I think they sort of focused on trying to be a bit, trying to push a lot of things in, because I think basically the last Zeton is the last character in the last kaiju in the first season. So I feel like maybe they just tried to squeeze all those things into this.
I did really like. What's the one with the spinny? Is that the one with the when the thrills come out? Thrills come out and spins.
The one that's the big one in the sky.
Okay, sorry, that one, yeah. But the kaiju on the ground, I think it was electricity guy, or maybe all the drill guys.
That's Gabara, I think.
I really like that design and how its neck rotated.
That was really cool. See, the thing is, that's what I kind of needed. We need more weird monsters, so it's sort of a bit more of like, how's he going to deal with this one? Instead of being like, how's he going to outsmart this one? And we're going to use all the, you know what I mean? Like, it's either science to beat it, or Ultraman comes and punches its shit. Instead of Ultraman just, I don't know, spacing beams, as much as I think they're really cool, and I like the way that it's all done, it's just a bit like...
It's really hard to understand the amount of power and what actually is happening. I was more happy when...
I loved it in the... Sorry, talking about the power, I really liked the first bit, because after he did the spacing beam, after taking out Negronda, it was like, oh my god, everything seemed to be crackling, and it looked really real then. But then later on, because it lost all its... As I say, the CGI lost its kick from the start. I think they just really couldn't.
It kind of just looked like they were trying to do realistic stuff in the end, where it should have just been looked more like shitty.
Yeah.
Not shitty, but just.
No, I think analog.
I want to see they had the care into it. Like I like the whole thing where they couldn't use electricity. They had to use analog things.
Yeah.
And I liked it where he outsmarted the trenchcoat alien, where he had the secret ink and all that shit. Yeah. That stuff's great. But then it's just like, oh yeah, fuck all that stuff now.
As soon as that was over, it just went.
I was so confused. If you press the little button, but Ultraman's not there, because I thought when the woman he gets kidnapped and she leaves the little thing with the woman, I thought, oh, she's going to press that. And he's going to turn to Ultraman.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to explode out of the handcuffs.
Okay, yeah.
Like, what? So he has to press it, but she presses it. It doesn't do anything to her.
I don't have a clue. But then again,
structure and story just weren't great, but all the acting and 99% of especially the camera work, I really loved it. But it just felt a bit messy.
Yeah, no, I think you're right there. It lost its plot a bit. I think it sort of just wanted to show too many things, but didn't really have any ways to get between.
It was like they went, we're going to make
enough.
one of these.
Yeah, that's the thing. It did
which I feel like they didn't need to.
But they didn't need to do it because they've got so many. Like, the thing is, just make like another like Baltan, like another big villain or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, there's plenty of other people who we've not seen yet. Just kind of, I don't know.
If you go from nothing to the end of the world all in one film, there's basically nowhere else to go.
Nothing. It was sort of like right from the start there was always a threat to Japan.
No, but you've gone from
I get what you mean.
almost nothing to 100.
character.
But if you're going to make another film, you're like, it's a bit like the
Avengers films.
the Avengers, where it's like, okay, now I can't remember his fucking name. I was going to say Andros then, fucking Thanos.
Oh, okay.
Where you're like, oh, well, that was the whole universe pretty much being destroyed, and now everything else since then's been a bit like,
Yeah,
because
it's
you've
not
already
really
gone
gonna
to
be-
fucking 100.
Now it's time.
Whereas, and also I say, I'm not the biggest fan of Ultraman because he seems like Superman. Whereas
See, I kind of-
Shin Thingy, I'm a
Shin
bit more.
Godzilla.
No, well, Shin Godzilla was good, but Shin. What's the next one?
Kamen
Kamen
Rider.
Rider. That to me seems a bit more. I'm quite excited. For that
See, I've
'cause
always
I
thought
like the
Kamen Rider's much
motorbike.
cooler.
It's cooler.
We've always liked a bit, yeah.
And he feels just like more like a bloke. I know
Yeah.
he's got a separate brain and he's shocking in
Yeah.
some stuff to him.
Shock-
But he
shock
feels more
has
like
fucked him up.
not like a god. He feels more like a person.
Yeah.
Whereas Ultraman, as soon as he presses that button and he reanimates that corpse, he's not human. He's just this god thing.
Can I? Yeah. You're very, very right. I've never really liked humans going big.
Yeah.
You know, whenever whenever it was like done in like
Power Rangers, every single episode,
Yeah,
yeah.
Power Rangers. The thing is, Power Rangers, they were in a big mech suit, and I'm fine with that.
Oh yeah, robots. Yeah,
Robots are fine, and so are monsters. But as soon as they sort of just go, oh, they're just kind of a bit human, and they're just like, I don't know, and they sort of are a bit humanoid, and they're sort of judoing. I guess that I'm literally just.
Especially when they were
exclusively Ultraman here.
Yeah, when they're just grappling round, it just looks silly.
It does. So I've never really loved that, but also I don't love Space Beams. But I don't know. I don't know. I liked it. I did like it.
There's
I did
definitely
have a
ones
fun
for you.
romp watching it, but then I did.
I think if I'd
lose
watched
interest a little
more,
bit.
I've been a fan since I was younger and watched more of it. There's probably an extra 2 or 3% of likeness where I've gone, oh, I know what this is. I know what this is.
Maybe
But
a bit
someone
more than
coming
2 or
in,
3%,
yeah,
but yeah.
someone coming into it with virtually no knowledge. I was just like, I'm struggling to root for anybody.
But you can watch Shin Godzilla without any prior knowledge of Godzilla films, and still love it. But yet it's still got all that nostalgia.
Yeah.
Whereas with this, it just didn't really.
Also, if you're going to do a joke about someone smelling, the scene before they can't go, oh, I wish I'd had a bath today. And then
not right before.
30 seconds later,
Yeah.
sorry, we're going to have to smell you loads. And
Yeah.
then she says again, oh, sorry, I didn't have a bath today. That's just bad writing. That's just really
Yeah.
basic. You didn't need to say the
You know
previous
what's the
bit.
worst thing in the world as well? Memorizing a woman's scent.
I
That
still don't
is just
understand
the
why you have to
worst
memorise
thing.
her scent.
I don't understand that either. Maybe people can comment in and say, this is why. But I have no fucking clue. And I have no idea why it's so bad to memorise a woman's scent as aliens from
But
different
aliens
countries.
can't memorise women's scents.
Yeah,
but
no,
they
but
can memorise everything
apparently
else.
it's the worst thing in the
That's
world
the
to
only
do.
thing.
Yeah, they can destroy planets.
Wait, is it
Don't
because they're like
smell a woman.
shy? Is that what it is? Is it
Well,
like
I don't know. Maybe it's that I don't think it's that they're shy.
No, but
Don't
why is
smell
it the
that woman.
worst thing?
I don't know. It just seems to be like
So it could
when
not
he
just be a
came down, he was
perfume.
like, "You smell that woman. You've committed the most heinous crime."
I smell
By smell that? No. Actually, sorry. It was merging with a human. That was the most heinous crime.
Well, yeah, there was a
And then he
there
was
a
like,
murder.
"And you smell that
Yeah.
woman."
There was a murder and then the
See, I don't know if
reanimation
it was
corpse.
murder.
A big
Like,
rock hit him in the back of the head.
In
Like,
the
I saw
first
it.
one, when we watched it, we were sort of quite outraged about the fact that he was dead, and we were quite like, "Oh my god, I never
Yeah.
realised that." Like, you know,
That's how he got created.
But with this one, it kind of felt a bit more natural. I don't know. It kind of didn't feel as bad.
Well, I suppose because
did you?
Ultraman was coming out to help, because I can't remember him helping in the first one.
He was,
Oh,
no,
was
I think he
something
did
coming out
come
of the
down to
river or
help.
something, I
Yeah,
can't
there was something. It was a very similar situation, I think.
I just struggled if there's manslaughter and then
It's mad.
and then it's like Matthew Broderick killing those
No, you
people,
can't do
and
that.
then trying to go, well, now I'm a superhero, that everything's fine, and I'll
Yeah.
save the world.
Now
Yeah,
I'm the Santa
again,
Claus.
I'm struggling to root for the god thing that killed the people. Where's
Yeah.
his family? That guy's got a family. And
No, he doesn't though, because he's a loser. And he doesn't care about things. We saw that.
He read
nasty.
2 books, and then he got
did,
killed.
yeah.
He didn't do anything.
Trust, I don't know if like, was he always like that though? Do you feel like that was
He
Ultraman
felt so
being that, or do you think that they managed to merge personality so much that it was just sort of like Ultraman was like, yeah, he's really easy to do because he's a bit like an alien anyway.
It just didn't feel like he ever came back.
No,
Even when he was saying I'm half and half or I'm your friend, it didn't feel like they were still the same people.
But the original actor who did do it kind of was quite nice and quite friendly. He was
Yeah.
sort of like, "Oh, where have you been?" He's like, "Oh, I've been around," sort of thing.
He just seemed like a personality vacuum.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Shin Ultraman. Let's look forward to Shin.
Shin came around. I'm really excited.
No,
Shin
I'm really
came
excited
out,
for
to be
that.
honest.
Yeah. Give me a motorbike. I want it small scale though. I want Shocker. I want a dirt bike track. That's it.
Yeah.
Fuck having space aliens.
You want it to be filmed 90% in a quarry.
I want Bruntwood Park, the track, the thingy track. That's it, in a quarry.
You need the quarries. So what are we going to give this film? I mean, I'm going to give it I'm going to be honest and just say it's a 5.
I'm going to say 5, just straight down the middle.
I
and
couldn't
if I liked
give it more because,
I think even if you love Ultraman,
I think if you
struggled. I just didn't see the urgency or the thrill of any of it. Just as a basic story, there was no like, oh my god, this is going to happen or this is going to happen. Whereas I can even watch old Superman. I keep getting Superman, but just most films have some sort of structure where you're like, okay, here's what we have to do, and this was like, oh, the film's actually finished in the first third. Oh, we'll do it again. Okay, we'll do it again. We'll do it again.
Yeah.
With at no point Ultraman. Also, when he got beaten in space, he falls into the river, and then the man's just like in bed, like in loads of like casts.
Right, yeah.
I don't understand the man. I thought, is he not indestructible as the man? But then he wakes up later and he's fine. But he was in that anime thing with the Joe, they wrap him like a mummy and he's just in bed like that.
Maybe because he'd given up his powers or something. Maybe there was something that happened to his body or whatever. Loads of radiation burns or something.
Maybe, yeah. Surely, actually, he should be the most radioactive man in
no,
the fucking world. It's all his friends are like,
all.
so we've got a lot of tumours now. We've been friends with you in the SSP. Anyway, so that was Ultraman. Sorry, I haven't done a review for a while.
We've not done anything.
Came out the gate with that one, praising it.
Yeah. I feel like we were a bit nasty about Ultraman there, but just didn't hit
It's just
home
one
with
of those
us.
things. People buy.
But I was very excited about it. I gave it a very good chance. But I did say to you at the start, the first 5 minutes.
Oh, and you were right. But then I was like, oh, actually, I'm still really enjoying this. And I was like, make this Shin Godzilla, and then it just veered off.
Yeah, it went too politicsy in my mind.
Yeah, but I don't know.
It went just too like, what do people like about Shin Godzilla? Oh, boardrooms. Let's do loads more boardrooms. It's like, do we need to? We can do more.
No,
science.
but I think there was less boardrooms than there was in Shin Godzilla.
Well, it was less boardrooms, but more just meetings and just going, what are you going to do? Oh, I'm going to sign over this. And then it was sort of him just, I don't know, it was just a lot of office.
But with Godzilla...
It wasn't like science in the way that Godzilla was, where they made all the, like, they did all the origami and they were trying to map it throughout the whole thing. And there was that man with the towel. Like they were trying to work out what Godzilla is throughout the entire film, whereas this, it was sort of like, oh, on to the next one, on to the next one.
Well, it was a second...
There wasn't nothing built up.
Godzilla was a constant threat that was getting worse and worse and evolving, whereas this was, oh, Ultraman's turned up, well, everything's basically fine now.
Yeah. He's
going to keep reappearing. Where, I said, again, there's no push, there's no stakes. It's just like, well, Ultraman's going to sort it out, isn't he?
Yeah.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Crusaders working overtime, fighting crime.